We are no longer physicians. We're providers.
Ask your baby's permission.
Gay people, you have become a product. Should auto insurance cover STD? Are you freaking kidding me? So you demean us. You don't get a parade for a sexual preference. To not hurt the feelings of somebody with a fraction of my training. That a beaver's ass presented this to the world. It's a natural flavor. But you are literally an ice cube in a martini shaker. Wow, was that cool? How it just like faded in. I love it. All right, we're back live. I don't know how long we're going to stay alive because we're both I'm going on 3 or 4 weeks of whatever this sickness I have is. I swear it's
long COVID.
No, I don't think it's long COVID. I think
No.
maybe it's tuberculosis. Maybe I'm like Val Kilmer in Tombstone. And indeed, I'm the old huckleberry.
Maybe you need to test. Who knows what you get exposed to?
Yes.
These days in this part of the world, or some kind of waterborne respiratory virus.
No, this was not waterborne. This was from the 100 patients a day that come streaming through urgent care with God knows what. But it is weird. It is a super weird virus. People, I mean, there's stuff where people cough for a long time, but they're not that sick. But people are like sick for a really long time. They'll have a fever for a week or so, and then they're just sick for 2 or 3 weeks, and they come in and they're like, it's 5 days and I'm still sick. And I'm like, wow, it's almost a month for me. So get used to it.
Maybe you need to see the doctor about that.
Yes. Maybe you don't need to see a doctor and you don't need to sit in the waiting room. You need to pollute the world with your germs.
I was talking about you. Doctor, heal thyself.
Yeah.
Not working for me. I tried.
I know what it is. It's cold.
Well, if you're tuning in for the first time to this mumbo jumbo, welcome to BS Free MD. This is our Doctales with Cocktails version. It's usually live streamed to the world where people can hop on, comment, interact, share your thoughts along with us as Tim usually dishes on the latest stupid news of the week or facts and topics that he found fascinating to dive into.
Yeah, this week is going to be a little bit different. I was in the great state of Utah last week skiing. It is actually Salt Lake City, and more specifically, the suburb of Sandy is one of the most you can't believe that you're in a city because you were so close to the mountains. Where we stayed, where you could order Domino's pizza and it's there in like 10 minutes or whatever. It's 10 miles from Snowbird, and you're in the middle of absolute suburbia, mid-century modern homes from 1970. And you look outside and you're like, there's the mountains, the Wasatch Mountains, there's Little Cottonwood Canyon, there's Big Cottonwood Canyon. It really is truly amazing. But it's more amazing when you actually have a vehicle that works. And that's what I'm going to rant about most of the time.
Gosh.
So we flew in from various places in the country and, various times, met some friends, had a great Airbnb. It was awesome. But we need a pickup truck because there's 5 of us, 5, grown-ass men, and ski equipment. So you have to put it someplace. So you can't have a Suburban or whatever. You need a pickup truck. So we get there, and the only pickup trucks that Avis had, because it's actually a super good deal if you use Costco, and I think they use Avis. So we tried one truck, and it was 2-wheel drive. Well, we can't have that. And then let's take this Dodge Ram. No, battery's dead. So then the only one that they had that was 4-wheel drive that would actually work was the electric EV, 100% electric version of the Chevy Silverado, or Silverado, as somebody say. And it has like the big the blue E in the middle, so it's a Silv E-Rado. So we get in there and we're like, where the hell do you put the gas? Like, is it on? Is it off? We don't know. And we're like, this is an electric truck. Like, they're legitimately giving us an electric truck. And we're like, well, what?
Does it drive itself too?
No, this one does not drive itself. But so we get in this thing after, moving our gear around between these different vehicles, and then we throw it into the Silv E-Rado, and it's got 199 miles to go. And we're like, I don't know how far this is supposed to go. So I looked it up. I looked it up on the
So there's no gas gauge. It's just how far you
how
get
many
to
miles
go.
you go, right?
Mhm.
And you're like, okay, well, 200
I've never
miles.
driven an electric vehicle, so I wouldn't know.
We're like, okay, we're 10 miles from the ski hill. We're not really, we might go to Park City and back, which is what, like 60 miles round trip. So we're thinking if we charge it up once, we should be fine. So maybe we'll just keep this. It'll be fine. We'll charge it up. We'll live with it. No big deal. We don't have to put gas in it, like blah, blah, blah. Right. We can't, we're at a house, Airbnb, so we can't charge it there, but whatever. So anyways,
You're going to worry about that later.
we're going to worry. Well, no, what we found is Snowbird, where we were skiing, has charging stations. Well, this is perfect. We'll drive it to the mountain. We'll be skiing for, 5 to 8 hours. It'll charge up. It'll be done. We'll have to charge it once because we're only, it's supposed to go, according to Chevrolet, it's supposed to go 404 miles on a charge. And we'll charge it once and we'll be fine. Right? Okay. So what they don't tell you is they don't tell you that when you look it up, it's actually pretty crazy. It says right here. Okay, I'm reading right from Chevrolet.
Yeah.
It says estimated 440 miles of range. Well, let's see what it says when you click the little I button where it gives you the information. It says on a full charge, estimated range based on development testing and or analytical projection consistent with SAE J1634 revision 2017 MCT and subject to change prior to production.
Yeah.
In other words, we have no freaking idea how far it goes in a charge. That's exactly what that just said. Actual range may vary based on several factors, including temperature, terrain, battery age, loading, how you use and maintain your vehicle, whether it's a full moon, whether you have an undescended testicle, or your wife's a bitch. No, I added that last part. GM estimated model 224, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, you're not
with
going to
wide
read it
open
all, are
lines.
you?
Okay,
Please, no.
so they don't know how far it's supposed to go, but they advertise that it's 440 miles. So, and then you don't charge it to 100% because that jacks up the batteries. You only charge it to 75. Okay, so let's assume it goes 300 miles or so. Okay, so we go to the mountain, we charge it one time, we're good to go for the rest of the trip. We do one trip out to Park City and back, maybe 65 miles, no problem. We're like, okay, let's keep this because, like, what could possibly happen? Okay, so
what could possibly happen?
What could possibly happen? So then we drive up to the mountain. All right, we drive up to the mountain. We find the charging place. We go there. Well, of course, all the chargers, the only charger available is the wrong cord, right? It's the wrong one. It doesn't
there's
fit.
different cords?
There's different cords.
Like European.
Yeah, and there's
Asian,
different speeds
and
of
South
chargers,
African.
and there's all this stuff, okay?
Oh, wow. I did
And
not know.
so we get up there, and, Salt Lake City is about 4,500 feet. The base of Snowbird's around 7,000. So we climbed about 2,500 feet. We get up there. We're like, okay, well, no big deal, right? We're going downhill mostly, so we should be okay when we go home. We'll just hang out and put our ski stuff away and charge it for half an hour and, top it off a little bit. And we should be fine, right? So we plug it in, and like the thing is, glowing and charging, and we look at it and it's like accepting charge and all that. And we're like, okay, well, this is good. It's about 3:30 or 4 in the afternoon. And it says, will be done charging by 8:30 p.m. tomorrow. It will be done charging 28 hours from now.
It takes 28 hours to charge a truck?
Apparently, with that charger, it takes 28 hours to charge that truck. Because guess what? Batteries don't work worth a shit when it's 25 degrees outside.
Guess that's the first factor you mentioned, temperature.
Temperature.
How about altitude?
And,
how high were you?
Well, altitude doesn't matter at all because it does not use fuel. Okay, so that's fine. So we're like, okay, well, we got 60 miles left. We have 10 miles to go. how bad could it be? So we get in the thing, and it has regenerative braking. So what that means is, instead of just hitting the brakes, the motors slow down and charge itself. Okay. So we had this thing plugged in for half an hour, and I think it gave us 2 more miles of driving for half an hour. Like I am not making this up. Like, you cannot possibly conceive of a product worse than this
I
truck.
could charge my iPhone on my speed charger,
Right.
like from 0 to full.
Like it gets worse and worse and worse. Right. So then we start driving down the mountain, and the thing is charging its ass off.
No,
Like we're
that's
getting all of these miles added on.
That's
right?
good.
So we get to about we almost double. I think we're at 100. Like by the time we get into the city, we're almost doubled. So we're at like 115 miles or something. And so coincidentally, I had my ski boots are fairly old. I really like them, but I have completely packed out the liners. So we go to the ski shop, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can get a new set of liners or whatever. The guy's like, you don't want to do that because they're almost as expensive as just buying a new pair of boots. I'm going to ski 5 or 10 days a year because I live in Florida. It's like, there's no way this is going to work. So we're not doing that. What can you do? This guy was absolutely unbelievable at the Powder House in Salt Lake City. Go there if you have a problem. It was amazing. The guy's name was Caesar, believe it. And so I was bugging him. I'm like, I was teasing the shit out of him. I'm like, dude, you fit ski boots so good, they named a freaking salad after you. So Caesar at the Powder House is amazing. They charged me like $45, fix the problem, because what I had was very bad shin bang. And that's an actual term in skiing where your shins get bruised from banging the front of the boot when you're skiing. And of course, that turned into complete degeneracy because I do not have an inner child. I have an inner 13-year-old. So it's like shin bang. I remember her from high school. I dated her in high school, blah, blah, blah. To the point where I actually went on Facebook and found shin bang in the Philippines. There is actually a young woman named Shin Bang.
Of course there is.
Somewhere in the Philippines.
And only you would look for it.
Of course. And so anyway.
And I'm sure you found a bunch of other disgusting stuff.
No, I didn't. I only searched Facebook. I did not search anything else.
You didn't Google that.
It's so then anyways. So whilst Caesar is fixing my boots for about an hour and a half, coincidentally, there's a charging station at a hotel.
With the right plug?
With the right plug, right next door to the Powder House. So this is like, what serendipity? It's meant for us to keep this truck. So then they drive it in there, they plug it in, it's all charging, it's doing its thing. I'm in there for like an hour and a half, right? Like this guy is busting his balls to fix my boots. Like it was amazing service. It worked really good. I was very pleased. So we're like, well, this is great. This thing will be charged up. We'll have like 300 miles. And we could do whatever we want to. We don't have to go back to the airport and get a different truck. Everything's going to be fine. So we're at about 115 miles when we started charging. And after about an hour and a half, we are at the mind-blowing, whopping total of about 123 miles. Wow. So an hour and a half charging at another charger gave us like 10 miles or so. And we're like, okay, we're done. So we said, okay, tomorrow we were tired from traveling and we skied quite a bit. Let's just take the day off and let's go get another truck. So we take this thing back and we get and again, you can't make this up. The only 4-wheel drive they have is an F-150 hybrid. So the thing still has freaking batteries in it, but you can put gas in it, which made us really happy. So that, a little tiny motor, turbochargers and all that, but it literally, it was like Christmas morning driving in that because we knew we were never going to get stranded. There was like zero anxiety. It's like we drive out to Park City and it's like, holy cow, it's the Sundance Film Festival. Maybe we'll run into somebody famous or more, it was
Robert Redford behind that.
Yeah, that's the Robert Redford.
So what's with all the electric vehicles up there?
I don't know, because they don't make any sense. And the reason they don't make any sense is because they're so freaking temperature sensitive, right? So okay, if you live in Seattle an electric car might make sense because it almost never above 75 degrees and almost never below like into the 20s. So it works, right? It works. Okay, Florida, where literally the pavement is the surface of the sun in summertime, and you have to run air conditioners to cool the batteries. It makes zero sense.
Mhm.
Plus, it floods here. There was a video from Hurricane Debbie where a guy had a Ring doorbell cam in his garage, watching his garage flood with his Tesla in it. And once it got to the middle of the doors and completely submerged the batteries, it exploded into flame and burnt his house down.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't conceive a shittier product than an electric car. Like if you were stranded on a desert island for 1,000 years and somebody said, please come up with a shittier product than an electric car, you'd go, you know what? I got one. And you'd go, is it the guillotine chastity belt that, like, if somebody tries to sleep with your daughter, it chops off, the assailant's penis? No, it's an electric pickup truck because it does everything a car does and nothing a pickup does, but it's still a pickup truck. And oh, by the way, it's a half-ton pickup truck. So it tows 10,000 pounds like a half-ton, not 15 or 18,000 like a, 3/4 ton or a 1-ton truck with a diesel in it, right? Okay. And the payload is the same, but the freaking truck weighs 9,000 pounds. Our Cadillac Escalade, the short one, not the suburban sized one, weighs 5,500 pounds. This thing,
why so heavy?
Is the same.
Why so heavy?
Because of the batteries.
What?
Yes. Electric cars are super duper heavy. They're destroying highways because they're so damn heavy.
I did not know that.
This is like, it weighs the same as if you took a Tahoe or Escalade and strapped a Corvette to the roof of it and drove it around. That's how much this freaking thing weighs. Wow. And it can't even do basic pickup shit because it's 9,000 pounds and it takes 5 months to charge the battery in 25-degree weather. So how the hell are you going to drive this from Salt Lake City to Cheyenne, Wyoming without dying of hypothermia? It's impossible. It's impossible.
If you have your snowmobile on the top of it, you could just ride away when it's dead.
Yeah, and you would have gas cans for your snowmobile, which you would then pour on your body and burn yourself to death, because guess how much that thing costs? There is one 10 miles from our house. They're paying you $7,500 in rebates to buy it, and you can drive it off the lot for the low price of $98,000. It's 9,000 pounds. And if you live in Florida, it will explode into flame. And if you live in Salt Lake City, it is an ornament in your front yard. It is unbelievably bad technology.
And who are the idiot engineers that just pumping this shit out and people buying it?
Well, because it's what the government wants.
Maybe this is why it's at the rental car place, because nobody wants to buy them.
Like, do you know how much you have to pay extra to rent a $98,000 car? And they can't give this thing away because it's so useless.
Wow. Wow.
And we were like, literally, it should come with a Xanax dispenser. Because you're so anxious you're going to get stranded in this 9,000-pound monstrosity that you're like, oh, shit.
You can't even push it off the road if you get stuck.
No, you can't. Okay, so how the weight thing started.
Yeah, what if you get stuck in the snow? You
Well,
can't tow it
yeah,
out.
good
You can't
luck.
push it out.
Yeah, you need a heavy lift helicopter. So how the weight thing started is we're driving and it gave a low tire pressure warning light.
Oh,
And we're like, whoa, what the hell's this? And it was 45 pounds. Okay, like a normal light truck, 33 to maybe 40 at the tops.
right.
We're like, well, holy shit, how much does this thing weigh if it gives you a low pressure indicator at 45 pounds, right? It's like you're driving a motorhome. Motorhome and semi tire pressure is like 120 pounds per tire, right? Because the things are so heavy. And so I'm sitting there. My buddy's driving. I Google this and I'm like, this bitch is 9,000 pounds. And it's like, and I said there, estimated range, 400 miles. Yes. Do you know how you could get 400 miles out of that? If you took it in a spaceship to the edge of space, which is 400 miles away, and dropped it, you would get 400 miles of range. That's how you would get it if you dropped it from the edge of space. But then you'd need one of Elon's Starship, whatever mothership, the biggest rockets in the world, because it's 9,000 pounds. It's just like,
what? Who makes these things? What companies?
Well, they all make them.
They all do. And how many of these?
Ford and Chevy have full electric, like the F-150 electric one, the Lightning. That's been around for a few years. I think the Chevy one is the new one, right?
Okay, well, what about our friends in the other countries that produce vehicles? Are they making any e-trucks?
I think so, but I'm not sure. I think if they don't, they will, because in 2030, according to Gavin Newsom, you can't buy a gas-powered car. You're only going to be able to buy an electric one,
and nobody going nowhere.
Well, that's the goal. That's the goal. The goal is not to have clean energy. It's to have people not drive. Like, that's what it is. It's to force everybody.
Great when the first responders call in, can't make it to work. Sorry that there's a 3-alarm fire. Not only is there no water in the fire hydrants, Gavin, but now we can't even drive our e-vehicles to get to the station because they're not charged and they're.
Oh no, apparently, and I could be wrong, but I thought I read this. If one of these batteries starts on fire, you can use an entire fire truck's worth of water, and it still won't put it out. You have to have the special battery extinguisher,
soda paste shit to put over it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's some kind of fire retardant
for the retarded vehicle. Oh,
exactly.
I said the bad word, didn't I? The bad R word.
No, like it is. If this smells so much of government interference, you can't even make it up, because it's clear. And Elon said this. He wants no subsidies. He's like, you shouldn't subsidize electric vehicles. People should want them, and they should be good enough that they want to buy them.
Well, yeah.
And that's what happened with
free market. Shouldn't it be good enough that people would want to buy it?
And that's what happened with Tesla. I mean, it's a status symbol. People like them. If you live in a city in appropriate climate and you only have to drive 30 or 40 miles a day, the car works great. It's super, it farts and does all sorts of Tesla stuff. And if you just needed a commuter car and you lived in a city and you had a charging station at your house, an electric car, I can make it make sense, as much as I think they're really stupid. Now, the thing that makes a tremendous amount of sense in that technology are hybrids. Hybrids make a lot of sense. Okay.
Because you can charge it while you're driving the damn thing.
Well, exactly. And if they were really smart and they really wanted to save, what they would do is they would build. You can build from the Vietnam era. We had jet fuel turbines that are 150 pounds that they use in small helicopters. Okay, and this is almost 60-year-old technology, and they make 300 horsepower. You don't need that. You need something that's maybe a third of that, like maybe 50 or 100 horsepower. You run it on natural gas, which is super clean. You spin the thing at 35,000 RPMs. You make it a generator. It generates electricity, which then goes to the batteries and goes to the electric motors directly. And you have a true natural gas turbine-driven hybrid vehicle, kind of like a train. Trains have been electric for 75 years. They have gigantic diesel motors that power generators that power the electricity, and they're unbelievably efficient. You could make it unbelievably efficient, and well, no, we don't do that. We have to have little children in the Congo digging out cobalt with their bare hands to build these. And like, you know how big the
then
batteries
whole
have
thing
to
is, what do
be?
you do with the batteries afterwards?
You can't recycle them.
So where did they do with them? Do
I think they go to landfills. Do you know what else goes to landfills? The gigantic turbine blades from the windmills.
yes.
They don't. It's like
Along with all the diapers that people complain about.
our lighting is kind of cool. It's like we're using natural light in the background, and it's getting darker and more mysterious.
It is.
Maybe we'll have
Pretty soon when the lights
Doctales
go
After Dark.
when the lights go black, it's time for you.
Doctales After Dark.
When it goes black,
See you later.
Time to stop
So
talking.
so anyways, it's just it smells so much of government interference because the free market wouldn't tolerate that. Like I said, people would buy Teslas. They'd clearly buy Cybertrucks because there's 9 trillion of those things driving around. And I don't think I've seen one of these electric Chevys or one of the electric Fords anywhere. Because if you're going to buy a Ford or Chevy and you want to do pickup truck stuff, give me the biggest gas or diesel engine you can. And the diesel engine technology is so good, you could tow your house around.
And if you watch Landman, you will know there's an endless supply of fuel.
I think there is. I actually am starting to believe in what do they call that? They call that the anorganic production of petroleum. That it isn't just dead trees and fossils and whatnot. It's actually like the Earth's core bubbles up this stuff from
that magma's got to do something more than just make bubbling hot lava that pours out.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think it interacts with some other things in the center of on the other layers of the Earth's I was going to say crust, but you know what I mean? And all those different layers that we learned about in 7th grade geology class. But I think it's endless.
Yeah, it sure. Well, okay. They started telling us that we were going to run out about in 5 years. In 1973, I was 8 years old.
Along that with the ozone that was going to kill us, and
right.
we'd all be dead.
Correct. Both my grandfathers were born in 1900, so they were 73 years old. And they said, "This is all price manipulation from OPEC. The Arab countries are just trying to screw with the North America." And so apparently that's actually what happened. There was advertisements, I remember, in the early 70s where there was a kid about my age. Okay. So I got my driver's license in 1981. All right. And they're like, and the kid's like 8 or 10. He's like, I'll never drive. I get my driver's license in 6 years and I'll never drive because there will be no fuel for me to drive with.
Wow.
And that was 52 years ago. So I don't think we're running out anytime soon. But what we have completely run out of
is common sense.
Exactly. We have completely and
not
totally
just in the medical world, but in
of common sense.
In the automotive industry.
Like how are you saving the planet? By driving around in a 9,000-pound vehicle.
Right.
When you could drive around in a 5,500-pound vehicle, that's still a gigantic tank.
How about you buy a classic car, recycle, right? Reuse. Don't buy new shit with throwaway batteries.
That's it. I'm buying a C10. I found one.
No, you already done that. You're the model because you've modeled that behavior very well of buying and buying and buying cars. So Tim reuses cars very well. The rest of the world got to get on board. You can buy some great stuff for a very low price. That's much less than $98,000. That's a beautiful classic car.
Much less.
Like,
actually,
seriously.
The pickup truck I want to buy is exactly half that price.
And you know what? They're also much, much easier to fix. Case in point, new catalog.
Yeah, I don't have
Been
a
in the
clue.
shop for how many times now?
I
We've
don't know.
taken that thing. It's still
I
not
don't know.
here because
Okay,
no
we're
one
a
can figure it
public,
out.
and we may want to trade it in. So advertising that we have to have repaired it is probably unhelpful. But whatever, too late.
No, I said it's not repaired. It's still being repaired.
Yeah, it's still being. Yeah, okay, that's even better. So at any rate, it's like.
Now, what I mean is they gotta have the computer. They can't figure it out.
Oh no, are.
No, I'm saying these new vehicles,
Right.
like they even got the diagnostic computers to try to figure this crap out.
Do you know how much those cost?
Compared to a nice 1960, 70, whatever, where you could work on the motor and be done.
Do you know what it costs to buy like a real analyzer from Snap-on?
Oh, I'm sure it's
they're
less than the $98,000.
No, but I think they start at around $7,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then you have to buy the updates every single year. Like you buy a subscription. So if you own an auto repair shop, you buy those the monitors,
right?
And then you're basically paying for it for the rest of your career.
That it can actually work and diagnose the problem.
Well, there's that.
Doesn't seem to be working so great for us.
There's that. There's the whole. Exactly. Like we can't diagnose stuff because biology is super complicated and we don't know what we don't know. Someone built that whole freaking car.
I know,
and you got an $8,000 analyzer and you can't, and no one can I've taken it to two different, and no one can analyze it. It needs like holy water and a Freudian psychiatrist.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
Like, how the hell is that possible? It's like, okay, we got all the sensors. They do this. It goes into the computer. We plug a thing into the computer. We hit the little buttons. We pay our subscription fee every month, and we have zero data.
Right? I know.
Like, how is that possible?
And it's a common theme. And not even vehicles. Like, let's talk other appliances. Like, how many junk appliances, I mean, compared to how they used to make the things, they're just like throwaway. 5 years. They don't last 10 years. Washer, dryer in the landfill. Dishwasher, 3 years because it's clogged with all this crappy water in Florida in the landfill.
My parents were married in 1951, and they bought a refrigerator somewhere around that time, like in the early 50s. And then they built their dream home in 1968. And that refrigerator, which was the family refrigerator, was then moved into the basement as the storage refrigerator. They left that home in 2001 or 2002, and that refrigerator stayed in the basement, and it was still working.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 53 years later.
Well,
that refrigerator
that's the same with that washer and dryer we had. We left.
Yep.
That was in that home for 30 years.
Uh-huh.
Still working. I would even say the brand Maytag.
That fridge was so old, it needed a prostate exam. And it was still working. And it's like, we're going to move this thing. No, it's like 50 years old. Like,
I know I almost wanted to bring the washer and dryer and forget the rest.
I'm sure if the coolant leaked out the back of it, like people for 8 blocks around your house would die from some toxic exposure.
The refrigerant stuff.
Yeah. But that sumbitch was never going to die.
No. I remember leaving home, trying to think, same with my mom and dad's washer and dryer. Went 35 years or 40 years or something. And now look at all this. Save the planet. Be green with whatever.
Yeah, fill landfills with crap.
Well, it's like stuff crappy.
No, it's great. I met a guy that fixes appliances at work one time, and I said, "Man, my fridge is kind of crappy. Like it." He goes, "It's a Samsung, right?" And I go, "Yeah."
Just throw that in the landfill, Tim.
Just throw her in the landfill
along with your Silverado.
Silverado. All right, that's probably enough nonsense for this week. But that, like the again, with all this crap coming out about USAID and the government directing things through shadow funding and all this, it's all this subsidy and all this BS about how we have to have electric everything that's causing these problems. The free market would produce Teslas. It would not produce these other pieces of crap. Because pickup truck guys want to get in their pickup truck, want to hook up a horse trailer or a dirt bike trailer and drive it for 500 miles before they have to, it's like, well, I got to take a patient. I got to get a coffee, and maybe I should top up the fuel. Oh no, I'm going to sit here for 28 hours and charge it.
At Dunkin' Donuts with 5 pots of coffee.
Yeah, because
and
the
now-
obesity crisis in the United States is not from too much carbohydrates. It's from sitting at Dunkin' Donuts for 28 hours waiting for your Silverado to charge. That's the actual problem.
Well,
It's going to have a Xanax dispenser and an insulin dispenser because you've eaten so many freaking donuts waiting for that thing to charge that your blood sugar is like 5 billion. That was
I'm
random.
speechless.
That was random. All right. We're done. We had a great show that dropped today about how to save healthcare and why insurance is a scam. Check it out. I think you will enjoy it. We have some amazing guests coming up. We're going to do one or two other shows in the intervening weeks of just May and I. We're kind of experimenting with that. And then we have some really cool guests coming up, people that we've wanted to talk to for a very long time. And it's amazing. It's amazing when you go to someone's house and put a burlap sack over their head and deprive them of food for a few days, they will consent to be on your podcast.
I think it's getting very dark in here. Time to be done. And with that, we thank you all. Good night. See you next time.
See, you can do half an hour. I didn't feel like doing it.